Hey, fellow pastors, McKay here with Cross-Tethered Preaching. And as we know, the Titanic sank because of what the crew couldn't see. That's a huge lesson for us in preaching because sin works in the same way. What we see with our sin is about 10% of what's actually there. It's like an iceberg. That's why sermons need to treat sin like an iceberg, because outward behavior is what we see above the waterline. And again, it's just 10%, because underneath the waterline is the source of what is seen. Underneath, we have idolatry and unbelief, which produces what we see above the waterline. Now, to make the connection between above and below the waterline, we need to name the presenting emotion. For example, Galatians 2:11 through 14, where above the waterline, Peter pulls back from the Galatian believers when the men from James show up. And Paul tells us explicitly that the emotion Peter was experiencing was fear. So if you follow the fear, you'll eventually find the idol of approval, and it's below the waterline. Because in that moment, the Father's approval didn't seem like enough. Peter needed the approval of what was called the circumcision party. He needed their approval to truly feel secure and righteous. And so rather than the security he had in Jesus, he was looking for it in someone else. So watch what happens now when we can name the idol of approval and see the fear that is fueling it and how that really empowers our turn to the gospel. Because if the problem is only that Peter withdrew, then the good news is that Jesus forgives what he did. He forgives the above the waterline withdrawing sin. That's true, but in comparison to what's under the waterline, it's kind of shallow. But if we name the idol, then the good news is that yes, Jesus doesn't only forgive the sin that we see, but also the idolatry, because he has already secured the approval Peter wanted. And this now has the power not just to say, hey, you're forgiven, but to change Peter, because grace doesn't just cover the outward act. Grace rewires the heart. This is why just throwing law at external behavior above the waterline doesn't change us. That change is a work only the Holy Spirit can do by convincing us that we truly are the beloved of the Father. So probing under the waterline for the sin beneath the sin, as Tim Keller called it, enables us to now turn to Jesus with a much deeper, much greater depth of need. And the deeper the need we turn with, the greater the grace that flows down. And that's how we preach with much greater depth when we preach under the waterline. Now, if you need help with the process of doing this, Preach 360 has it built into the workflow. If you don't need help, then that's great. But if you do, preach360.com will help you out. Hey, my name is McKay again, and thank you for being with me. I look forward to being with you next time.